The Jeff Chandler mystery has finally been solved, and the truth is far from comforting. Born Ira Gossell on December 15, 1918, in Brooklyn, New York, Chandler was a strikingly handsome and immensely talented American actor and singer whose legacy left an indelible mark on mid-20th century Hollywood. With prematurely gray hair, a tall stature, and a resonant baritone voice, he became a popular leading man in the 1950s, admired for both his strong presence and the quiet emotional depth he brought to his characters. Raised in a working-class Jewish family during the Great Depression, Chandler found refuge in the arts. After graduating from Erasmus Hall High School, he pursued acting at the Fagan School of Dramatic Art and honed his skills in stock theater and radio before transitioning to film. During World War II, Chandler served in the U.S. Army in the Aleutian Islands, where his discipline and sense of duty grew stronger. After returning, he gained attention in radio, which paved the way for film roles. His breakout performance came in 1948's Johnny O'Clock, but it was his role as the Apache Chief Cochise in 1950's Broken Arrow that catapulted him to stardom and earned him an Academy Award nomination. The performance marked a turning point in how Native Americans were portrayed in Hollywood, highlighting Chandler's sensitivity and skill as an actor. He went on to star in films across genres, adventure, war, and westerns, often playing emotionally complex, stoic heroes alongside major actresses like Jane Russell and Maureen O'Hara. Chandler also pursued music, releasing albums that showcased his baritone voice and added depth to his artistic identity. Chandler married actress Marjorie Hushell in 1946, and they had 2 daughters. But the marriage was plagued by difficulties, including Chandler's chronic exhaustion and emotional unavailability. Though they tried to reconcile multiple times, a final divorce was filed in 1957, coinciding with his affair with swimmer and actress Esther Williams. During divorce proceedings, Chandler disclosed his substantial earnings, up to $250,000 a year, but also the financial toll taken by managers, agents, and personal obligations. Despite the turmoil, he remained one of Universal Studios' most profitable stars. Post-divorce, Chandler's romantic life remained in the spotlight. He was linked to several Hollywood women, including Gloria DeHaven and Ann Sheridan. However, a bombshell emerged years later when Esther Williams claimed in her autobiography that Chandler had confessed to cross-dressing, leading to their breakup. The claim was met with outrage and disbelief by friends and colleagues who defended Chandler's character and masculinity. Behind the glamorous facade, Chandler struggled with chronic fatigue and personal stress, which seemed to erode his physical and emotional well-being. Tragically, in 1961, at just 42 years old, Chandler died following what should have been a routine operation for a slipped disc. While official reports cited complications like blood infections and surgical errors, those close to Chandler were suspicious. Whispers began to circulate about misdiagnoses, overlooked allergies, and botched procedures. At the center of this controversy was Cedars of Lebanon Hospital in Los Angeles. Conflicting reports emerged, including accounts that Chandler was administered penicillin despite having documented allergies to it. According to court documents and declassified hospital archives, Chandler had a severe allergic reaction during surgery, triggering seizures and anaphylaxis. A nurse even reportedly confided in Sammy Davis Jr. that there was chaos in the operating room. Rather than taking responsibility, the hospital allegedly worked to cover up the incident, aided by the studio system that sought to protect its interests. The silence surrounding Chandler's death was further enforced by Universal Pictures, which had invested heavily in his clean-cut public image. Adding to the tragedy, Chandler's ex-wife later hinted that his declining emotional and physical health made him more susceptible to medical failures. He had been working under immense pressure, juggling chronic pain and public obligations. Only in recent years have digital archives and renewed biographical interest helped uncover the full scope of negligence involved. Investigative journalists unearthed long-lost medical records and private letters, revealing a pattern of systemic failures. The final breakthrough came through the efforts of Chandler's daughter, Jamie Tucker, who fought to gain access to his sealed medical records. Her persistence led to a court order that confirmed Chandler's allergies had been ignored and that proper medical protocols were bypassed. "He wasn't just a star, he was my dad," she said, expressing the deep grief and injustice that surrounded his passing. With the mystery finally unraveled, what remains is a sobering portrait of institutional negligence, corporate silence, and a tragedy that was entirely preventable. Jeff Chandler's death is no longer just a sad footnote in Hollywood history. It is a cautionary tale about the unseen dangers lurking behind fame and the devastating cost of neglect. Though fans continue to celebrate his legacy through his films, they do so now with a deeper awareness of the man behind the screen, a gifted actor whose light was dimmed far too soon. Jeff Chandler married actress Marjorie Hushell in 1946, during the early years of his film career. Hushell, who had worked both in Hollywood and on stage, had a modest career in acting before stepping away from the spotlight. The couple initially appeared to be a picture-perfect Hollywood pairing, admired for their striking looks and frequent public appearances. Their union produced two daughters, Jamie Tucker, born in 1947, and Dana Gossel, born in 1949. Chandler's birth name was Ira Gossel, which Dana later adapted into her own surname. The family settled into life in Los Angeles, and for a time, Chandler seemed to juggle the growing demands of fame with his role as a father. However, behind closed doors, the marriage was increasingly troubled. The couple separated in 1951 but briefly reconciled before separating again in 1954. That same year, Marjorie filed for divorce, citing a breakdown in the marriage. One of her key grievances was Chandler's chronic fatigue, so extreme that he would reportedly fall asleep in public or during social events, regardless of the setting. She painted a picture of a man so overwhelmed and exhausted by his demanding career that his presence was often more absent than felt, even when he was physically there. The grueling hours on set and obligations to the studio were clearly taking a toll on both his health and family life. Despite the ongoing difficulties, Chandler and Hushell made another attempt to mend their relationship and reconciled in March 1955. During this time, Chandler continued to be one of Universal's most dependable and bankable stars. Still, the reconciliation was short-lived. In 1957, while filming Raw Wind and Eden in Italy, Chandler began a widely publicized affair with actress and Olympic swimmer Esther Williams, a glamorous figure in her own right. The relationship quickly became tabloid fodder, and it soon became clear to Marjorie that the marriage could not be salvaged. She filed for divorce again at the end of that year, ending a union marked by repeated attempts at reconciliation but ultimately undermined by Chandler's career pressures and personal decisions. During the 1958 divorce proceedings, new insights into Chandler's finances and lifestyle emerged. He testified that he was earning a significant income as a film actor under contract with Universal Studios, making 2 films per year. In 1957, he was paid $60,000 per film, and by 1958, that number had increased to $75,000, a considerable amount for the time. Altogether, Chandler claimed he had earned around $250,000 in 1957, which also included revenue from his singing career and possibly endorsements or public appearances. However, he pointed out that his net income was substantially reduced due to various professional expenses. His personal manager, business manager, and agent collectively took about 25% of his earnings, and additional costs tied to maintaining his lifestyle, supporting his family, and furthering his career quickly added up. Despite the deductions from his income, the court ordered Jeff Chandler to pay his wife $1,500 per month as temporary support following their separation. The final divorce settlement, finalized in June 1959, was financially significant. Chandler agreed to provide over $2,166 per month in alimony, along with an additional $500 monthly in child support, ensuring financial stability for his ex-wife and their 2 daughters. He also made a lump sum payment of $100,000, a figure that reflected both the duration of their marriage and his continued success in Hollywood. Reflecting on the breakdown of their relationship, Marjorie Hushell stated that Chandler had become so consumed by his career that even his time away from the film set was spent in his business office. She described him as emotionally and physically unavailable, overwhelmed by the demands of his profession. The strain of their deteriorating marriage, she later admitted, took a toll on her health, causing her to develop an ulcer, a physical symptom of years of emotional stress. After the divorce, Chandler's romantic life remained in the public spotlight. He was linked to several women in the entertainment industry, including actress and singer Gloria DeHaven. Their relationship, initially kept private, was exposed by Confidential magazine, a tabloid notorious for uncovering Hollywood scandals. During a legal trial involving the publication, private investigator Fred Otash testified that Chandler and DeHaven had been followed to obtain evidence of their affair. This revelation underscored how aggressively the tabloid press intruded into celebrities' personal lives. The most controversial chapter of Chandler's personal life surfaced decades later in 1999, when Esther Williams published her autobiography The $1 Million Mermaid. In it, she claimed that her relationship with Chandler ended after he confessed to being a cross-dresser following a marriage proposal. The allegation was sensational and reignited public fascination with Chandler's private life. However, many of Chandler's friends and colleagues strongly denied the claim. Actress Jane Russell, a close friend, told the Los Angeles Times, "I've never heard of such a thing. Cross-dressing is the last thing I would expect of Jeff. He was a sweet guy, definitely all man." Others in the industry echoed her disbelief, suggesting that Williams' account was either exaggerated or misunderstood, as Chandler had always projected a traditional masculine image on screen and in public. In addition to his relationships with Williams and DeHaven, Chandler was also romantically linked to actress Ann Sheridan, another prominent figure in Hollywood. Though never officially confirmed, their association only added to his reputation as a desirable and charismatic leading man off-screen as well as on. Throughout these personal ups and downs, Chandler maintained a successful acting career, frequently portraying strong, noble, and heroic characters in film. However, his turbulent private life, marked by failed marriages, romantic controversies, invasive media scrutiny, and persistent rumors, presented a more complicated picture of the man behind the camera. His relentless dedication to work often seemed to come at the expense of personal happiness, leaving those closest to him feeling neglected or overwhelmed by his single-minded focus on fame and career. For decades, the name Jeff Chandler conjured the image of a silver-haired, deep-voiced actor who captivated 1950s audiences with his commanding screen presence and suave charisma. With standout performances in Broken Arrow, Merrill's Marauders, and Sign of the Pagan, he secured his place among Hollywood's most recognizable stars. Yet behind that public persona lay a series of troubling and mysterious events, particularly surrounding his untimely death, events that would leave fans and biographers searching for answers for generations. Jeff Chandler's death, long shrouded in mystery and whispers, has finally been brought into clearer focus after years of speculation. The beloved actor died suddenly in 1961 at just 42 years old, following what was expected to be a routine operation for a slipped disc. Official reports at the time cited complications from surgery, pointing to a blood infection and unspecified medical errors. However, details surrounding his hospitalization immediately raised red flags. Friends, colleagues, and even his ex-wife questioned how a healthy, vibrant man could deteriorate so rapidly under the care of a reputable medical institution. Rumors of botched procedures, ignored allergies, and staff negligence began circulating almost immediately after his passing. At the center of the growing controversy was Cedars of Lebanon Hospital in Los Angeles, where Chandler underwent surgery and tragically never recovered. Conflicting reports deepened the mystery. Some claimed Chandler was misdiagnosed, while others alleged that his well-documented allergies to anesthesia and antibiotics were grossly mishandled. In a shocking revelation, a nurse reportedly told Chandler's friend, Sammy Davis Jr., that chaos erupted in the operating room after Chandler began suffering seizures and anaphylactic symptoms. Newly unsealed court documents and hospital archives later confirmed the worst. Chandler had been given a penicillin-based medication despite known allergies, a fatal oversight compounded by inadequate post-surgical monitoring. Rather than accept responsibility, the hospital allegedly moved quickly to conceal its mistakes, fearing lawsuits and a media scandal. A thick veil of silence soon surrounded the case. Industry insiders suspected that the Hollywood studio system, particularly Universal Pictures, where Chandler was one of the top stars, had a vested interest in keeping the details under wraps. A public scandal over medical incompetence could not only damage Chandler's legacy but also risk tarnishing the golden image of mid-century Hollywood itself. Adding another layer of tragedy, Chandler's personal life was already marked by emotional stress, strained relationships, and physical pain. His ex-wife, Marjorie Hushell, later suggested that Chandler's chronic exhaustion and mental burden might have left him more vulnerable physically. Friends also recalled that he was working long hours on film sets and juggling demanding public appearances, even while privately battling intense pain. This perfect storm of stress and neglected medical care ultimately led to his untimely demise. In more recent years, renewed biographical interest and access to digital archives allowed researchers and film historians to piece together new evidence. Journalists uncovered long-lost medical records and letters from Chandler's friends expressing disbelief and sorrow over what they called a completely avoidable tragedy. These discoveries painted a chilling picture not of a random accident, but of systemic negligence and an institutional cover-up aimed at protecting reputations and minimizing liability. The final piece of the puzzle came through the efforts of Chandler's daughter, Jamie Tucker, who spent years petitioning for access to her father's sealed medical records. In a deeply emotional interview, she said, "He wasn't just a star, he was my dad, and he didn't deserve to die like that." Her persistence finally led to a court order forcing the hospital to release documents confirming that medical staff had ignored crucial allergy warnings, contributing directly to Chandler's death. Now that the truth has emerged, it casts a somber shadow over the polished image of classic Hollywood. Jeff Chandler's death is no longer just a sad footnote in film history. It stands as a sobering reminder that even the brightest stars can be extinguished by negligence, silence, and systemic failure. As fans revisit his films, many now do so with a deeper understanding of the man behind the roles and lingering questions about how many similar tragedies may have been quietly buried in the glamorous annals of Hollywood's past.